Welcome back, everybody, to the analyst desk here to break down Game 1 of Taco Gaming versus No Horde Veteran with his very aggressive points again to start things off. But Veteran, I know that you had a whole lot of conversations about how the early game went here for No Oregon Taco Gaming, but it kind of set the tone for how the rest of the game ended up panning out.
It did. Like, first and foremost, I actually really liked the concept of the draft from Taco Gaming. Karthus Ashe opening is one of the most powerful openings you can do as Senna is down. Not just because of the jungle control you get with the Ashe of the Karthus, but because you have engage sorted out from the AD position, you can go for counterpick priority lanes on red side, and that's what they did. There was no lane that was simple for No Org to simply push in and invade the Karthus on, and this could have netted them a pretty significant lead, but at one point you actually end up with Karthus moving into midsection to try to prevent a 5-fire recall after 5-fire's crashed wave and taken a bad trade. And at that point, I thought, oh, this is the window for Belveth to do something because Karthus should be recall right now, and Belveth was recalling. But then Belveth cancelled her recall early, went to just secure her Raptors to get like a much more greedy back, and there was a 45-second window there where she could have messed with mid lane or defended the dive on top side or even done something in bot side jungle. There were so many options for her there. That's the kind of window you need as No Org to get out of these low priority lanes and prevent the snowball. Ultimately, they didn't get that, even if we'll see soon they actually did get like a winning fight early on. And because of this, the Karthus was completely protected. All Drakes were theirs, all Heralds were theirs on the side of Taco Gaming, and they were able to snowball the entire game.
Yeah, I think that, on the side of Taco Gaming, just from the level 1, the pathing kind of worked in their favor. But we have a couple of replays to break down that first game. Incon, I'm going to send you over to this Rift Herald fight around the 8-minute mark. You know, this is what No Org is known for. You're going to give it to Veteran? Okay. Veteran.
I get this one.
Yes, explain us what happened here.
I get the brief respite where I get to see 5-fire win something. So I'm just going to pretend this was the entire game and the whole game was decided at this point. But look at 5-fire's angle here, gets straight on towards Lawrence, is able to take him down. For a moment there I thought he wouldn't be able to until the face of the planet. And look, he stays on the outside, he stays in for damage, he weaves in when his cooldowns come in, burns flashes, kills people and everything. This was a really successful contest for him, and it shows the power their composition has when they get groupings. There's a version of this game where they didn't lose such heavy priors. They did manage to get some priorities back through skirmishes on those windows where they would get more of these groupings and they keep winning because Callista, Gnar, Lissandra, that's brutal. Once the burst comes in, so long as someone like 5-fire is able to get the flanks. So that was a nice moment where No Org shined, but that was about it for the rest of the game, as we're going to see.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's kind of the point of the game where I was like, okay, the No Org that I remember from back in the day is back. They have the topside focus, they play really well around these major objectives, but Incon, as we see in this next replay, didn't really go too well after that.
Yeah, I think this is really the turning point inside of the game, so there's kind of a lot to go over. So you'll see an Ashe arrow actually shot from bot towards mid here. If it hopefully goes a little bit faster. So the Ashe arrow's out and it's gonna hit right now. So Yone gets the kill mid, happening simultaneously. Belveth and Mininar go for an invade on top side. Lawrence will then get a shutdown here. Then, right, he won't get a kill here, but if you pan back bot and speed up a little bit, Karthus is going to respawn and get his ulti at the same time. At the same time that Callista Rakan go for a kill bot, at the same time that Lawrence is fighting top. So No Org was in a neutral game state, which is okay as long as you start forcing fights when it's advantageous. But instead they just kind of lose all 3 lanes at once against a comp that scales better than theirs. So entering this point in the game, in my opinion, the game is just over, and there's nothing that No Org can do other than start talking about next game. So at this point, No Org has had 30 minutes to talk about game 2, so I hope their plan going in is a little bit better to manage what Taco Gaming is going to throw at them. But I think Taco Gaming came in with a great plan, and I'm sure that game 2 they'll have something similar. This is where having a coach and not having a coach can sometimes make a difference. The coach can add value to the team.
Yeah, shout out Nova coming back to Taco Gaming after Jake Skidden for I guess a little bit of time here. Yeah, Incon, I want to kind of touch back to you about the kind of draft that Taco Gaming set up for themselves, especially Rovex on the Janna right there, kind of counteracting a lot of the heavy engage that No Org was able to provide. If you are No Org, what kind of steps do you have to take in order to make things a little bit different and a little bit more difficult for Taco to counter?
Yeah, having a team that doesn't fall off the face of a cliff at 15 minutes if you don't get kills early, well, would probably be a little bit of a benefit. In my opinion, they're getting outscaled in every single lane that exists on the map, as long as they don't get the early kills, right? So Lissandra, Gnar can make volatile early Herald plays, second Dragon plays that set a team behind, and you can snowball from there. So if you want better scaling options, I don't think early picking Gnar into a Karthus is that good of an idea, especially when the Ashes face up too. You're really not going to have much entry at that point, so I don't want to see as much Gnar priority. But it really just depends on, how is Noorg going to respond to what Taco Gaming picks? Because it felt like they just kind of drafted a blank team comp independent of what Taco Gaming was throwing at them.
All right, now veteran. I know we have a bit of a history with, you hyping up players and then maybe not performing to our level of expectations whenever you're on the desk. But I gotta give you, we got a minute until the next draft starts. If you have any motivational words to Qualifier, the player that you were hyping up so much at the start of this series, now's the time.
I think it's interesting. I figured he'd be able to pick whatever he wanted here, and if what he wants to do is utility champion, sure, but then at least make it the Malzahar, something that you yourself can carry on, and definitely something that gives you guys a bit more scaling options than you had. Sure, you can go for the 5v5s, but it's not like teams don't know how to play every Drake if you're just going to give them all priorities like this. Give something where you can contest hard early, or something where you can scale in and win these contests later on the third and on the fourth Drake. That's what I want to see from him. Just put all of the pressure on yourself.
Last game, the Rift Herald was the LCS, and once again, Qualifier was unfortunately incapable of reaching it. So we'll see if he can get it this game.
All right. I don't know. I don't even want to comment. See if Qualifier and the rest of Noorg will be able to come back here against the likes of Taco Gaming, or if it will just be that clean 2-0 sweep. Gonna bring in Rooted here as we get things set for the draft. Rudy, we talk about legacy a lot when we thinking about Noorg, but Taco Gaming over this past year has built up a bit of a legacy of their own, and they're showing it right here once again.
Yeah, exactly. Taking down Noorg here in this game, and of course to touch a little bit more on the sort of history of Taco Gaming in particular. Of course, we built up this Taco Tuesday narrative, and it's important to remember that Taco Gaming is an org built up around their manager, their owner, Taco, who has done a great job at building this organization from the ground up. Last qualifier, qualifier number 1, they only made it to top 8, but they were the only team to take a game off of 100 Thieves, your eventual champions, through the entirety of the playoff bracket. So the fact that they finished top 8 shouldn't be a sign to you that they're only a top 8, top 16 team type situation. They are a type of team that can very much go the distance. Previous to that, they took games away from academy teams in the in Proving Ground Spring. They also made it to the finals of Proving Ground qualifier number 2, in Spring as well. So this team, this organization built by Taco himself, the owner, certainly has built up this large prestige as being a team, an organization that really can go the distance, that really can challenge, and that wants to be a mainstay in the amateur space.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about Taco Gaming this split. They I think are only retaining Rovex from their spring run, and yet again it's just Taco constructing another really great roster that can compete against the likes of Noorg, who we were all hyping up at the start of this event. And so yeah, big shout out to Taco for being able to give these players opportunities, and also giving us some really good League of Legends to watch. And getting ready for game number 2 here, Rude. I mean, this is probably a spot that not a lot of these Noorg players aren't super familiar with. Being down 1-0 in a series like this, in maybe the first round of your amateur games.
Yeah, they are staring down a defeat here. Potentially could just get 2-0'd in their first series in the circuit qualifier. Of course, they do have a lower bracket to run through if this game doesn't go as well. We do, of course, know that they're going to be playing up against a large team who have certainly showed off as well so far today. So it's certainly a scary group to be in. You don't want to go down into that lower bracket. You don't really want to be facing anybody in this group if you can face it, because we've got everybody.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying. But at the end of the day, you have to beat the best to be the best. So if of course Noorg can turn this around right now, they're going to be in a good spot. They are of course on the same side this time again, so we'll have to see if they can maybe change some things from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, and again, a similar story that we were talking about in the first series is that Noorg is another team that did not compete in the first tournament, and therefore it has 0 qualification points coming into PGCQ number 2. So if they want that top spot in Proving Grounds, if they want the opportunity to try and take down all the academy teams like they did in years past, they're gonna have to get off to a really good start. Top 4 is probably the spot where they want to at least be at, if not even higher than that. And with the players on the team, of course, the expectations are sure to be that high, but it just shows kind of a difficulty for NoOrg, and kind of the lack of space to make these errors and make these falters here.
Yeah, they need to start picking up those wins, and that's no surprise, no shock to anybody. Everybody knows this, and you draw great points about them needing to do it more so than Taco, because Taco, we're probably just another top 8, will secure themselves at the very least top 10, which is what these teams need to go off to Proving Grounds in some sort of capacity. But that pressure certainly much higher for NoOrg in particular. Their adaptation moving into the second game is that they ban the Karthus away from City Widdy, the Callista taken away in response by Taco Gaming. So NoOrg now have to pick their first or their different B1, and it is going to be as though Ander was on the team.
Yeah,
that's locked in.
I was going to say, we're about to take another leap back in time. Don't know how much Udyr we've seen out of Griffin specifically, but this worked really well alongside NoOrg last year, of course, with Ander on the team. And it'll be interesting to see what they end up trying to do. This is a pick that would definitely be really cool to see out of Taco Gaming. Gorka on the Draven is never a sight you want to see if you're the opposition.
No, that's a powerful bot lane 2v2 just by nature of picking one champion. Not very many picks can give that to you, but Draven's certainly one of them. And this now opens up for Rovex to play something a little bit more obscure down in that bot lane. Enchanters to keep Draven safe. Certainly something that you can do, but doesn't necessarily facilitate the snowball as well. Things like the Pike that pair very well with a Draven, not necessarily greatest in the meta right now, but is that bot lane pairing that I instinctively think of when I'm looking at Draven pairings. It's the Viego locked in, so it is a little bit of a throwback here. Viego versus Udyr in our jungle matchup, and then the Aphelios locked in for Wixie in that bot lane, going to be trying to keep that Draven at arm's length. Have to see if they pick something like the Lulu, going to be very good at shutting down the Draven, and also a nice pairing with that Aphelios, or instead Tom Kench gets locked in. Largely the same role going to be provided here.
Yeah, a lot of supportive pieces built around Wixie on the Aphelios right now. Wixie's a player that, of course, performed really well both last year in Amateur on Cloud9 Amateur, and also, over the past year on both 100 Thieves Academy and C9 Academy. Now back here onto NoOrg. Trying to, be a big carry with a lot of these supportive pieces around it. Zilean locked in for Shochi. I love this pick coming out from, Shochi back in the day was a really big, assassin player in solo queue and the likes, and then has been able to transition over to things like the Zilean, really being able to facilitate a lot and doing really good work on it. So I'm super excited to see this pick come out.
Yeah, going to be obviously the slight chance that it does get flexed to Rovex as well in the bot lane. Have to quickly mention that, and you can see that NoOrg certainly paying credence to that hovering Victor ban at the very moment, so they could well see this Victor taken away, but the Zilean hovered down into that bot side. I'd like to see more magic damage come out of this Taco Gaming composition as well. Zilean, even when full AP from the mid lane, not necessarily the greatest aficionado of damage. But it is worth mentioning that Udyr in particular, hard countered by Zilean. The Udyr, of course, mainly gated by his movement speed. Zilean, a very good champion at preventing movement speed being a statistic that you have. So, a great pick in particular to go up against the Udyr. Also prevents the Draven from losing his stacks if you can get that Resurrect. And I'm curious to see how far down Lawrence's champion pool goes, in particular to those AD top laners, because the champion that would really slap this game is the Vayne. You've got Tom Kench and Udyr already locked in. If we do see something, that far removed, would not be surprised to see that locked in the top side for Lawrence, but for Sejuani, Speedo, slipping back into his old name right there, formerly Speedo, of course. Sejuani locked in as a blind for the top lane, I believe, here. Very good versus Spikes, very good versus TK and the Udyr. That's 5-5 picking a Akali.
Could be flexes, yeah, I was going to say, it could be a flex either way. That's a Yon, and that's an Akali locked in. Yeah, I guess we don't really know what's about to happen here. But I think both of these champions are very good for both of these players. I feel like I remember really cool Akali plays coming out from NoOrg in the past, so really excited to see that one come out. The response will be that Lissandra, so unfortunately my excitement was a little bit preemptive, as it looks like Rovex will be piloting the Zilean down to the bot lane, as Shochi once again gets his hands on another facilitating champion like this Lissandra to try and stop down some of the members of NoOrg in this game.
Damn. Okay, so this is a Very heavy investment onto Gorica this game, without a doubt. See Gorica have a big weight on their shoulders. Of course, Shochi going to be a sort of damage carrier, and Lawrence as well, weirdly enough, as a Sejuani. Actually a damage carry as well, so it's like not necessarily what you anticipate. It's one of those bruises that just kind of wails on you and sort of wins for no real reason. But Gorica with the Draven, right, whenever you see a Draven locked in, you anticipate there's going to be a lot of bot side focus. It is the Lissandra locked in into what they didn't know was going to be a Yone, so it is that safe laning matchup that they're hoping to be able to, you know, play through a little bit more and transition into bot lane if Shoji can get that push on down and push through, help out that bot side, get Draven snowball and get Gorica some kills. Logic's going to be the easiest way for Taco Gaming to win, just to fet Draven.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Rude, but looking at the drafts from both of these teams, it seems like NoOrg are taking a very similar approach to what Taco Gaming did in their game #1 by picking a lot of disengage and aspects of champions that can kind of be engaged upon, right? And, you know, even though Taco does have some pieces that make their composition a little bit more flexible this time around, maybe this is the kind of solution that NoOrg is looking for in order to try and get the series back to an even state.
Yeah, I think they've got it. I really like their draft here. I'm looking at the tank killing for Taco Gaming, not necessarily the greatest. Obviously, you can go for the likes of a Blade of the Ruin King on your onto your Viego. Lissandra can go Liandry's, but what I always look to for tank killing is your ADC, and Draven as a tank killing marksman, not necessarily the greatest, can sometimes go for the Eclipse, but his repertoire, his forte lies in killing squishy members. Udyr, of course, not that. Tom Kench, not that, and unfortunately Gorica is going to have to cut through those two before he can start dishing out the damage to Fire Viper and Wixie, which is going to leave him in a little bit of a hole, in a little bit of a difficult position relative to that mana. So Eye's going to be a large amount on the rest of Taco to see how well they can get through that front line, and I think eyes on Griffin as well this game, because things even as mundane and as simple as blocking Sejuani ultis going to be very important. The likelihood is that Griffin going to be going for those Mercury boots, so that Mercury treads, so that he doesn't get slowed, CC'd, ruined as much by those as you may well necessarily anticipate. But I think that overall, if you can block things like that Sejuani, you can get those good sets of team fights going, then they're going to be in a very good spot here, NoOrg.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at this. Griffin has one total Udyr game played throughout his time on No Team in the spring split. So did win it. So it was a win. So technically 100% win rate. We're going there. But this is definitely not like the Griffin specific champion that we're sort of seeing here.
Not a Hecarim.
Yeah, but this is the path to pro, to Academy, to LCS and beyond. And for a player that is really young like Griffin, being able to expand the champion pool a little bit more is going to be really, really important. And when you're surrounded by pieces like Qualifier, like Viper, who have been known to play really hard carry roles in the past, being able to show a little bit different of a style for Griffin is going to be really important as he continues to grow as a player. And so I'm really excited to see how he's able to perform on this new champion.
And on to the Rift then for this second game. Could well be 2 of 3, but could also be 2 of 2. Taco Gaming with a very convincing game #1 all told. Slightly shaky start through the early stages, and that's something that they can't really afford in this game, I will say. They have got that Draven, and we're going to be looking to see how well Gorica can be utilised, how well the rest of Taco Gaming can facilitate his success. Because if, obviously, you see that Draven snowball, you're going to be fairly worried about how fast that snowball starts to roll down the hill. Most recent changes to Draven I want to highlight because they were fairly impactful. He now has an execute on his ultimate, which is equal in true damage to the amount of adoration stacks that he has. The later that Gorica cash-in comes, the easier it becomes as well. So if we see this sort of long, slow, drawn-out early game, which weirdly enough we tend to see with a lot of Dravens, Whirling Death becomes a Whirling Nuclear Bomb.
Yeah, and that's one way you can put it, I guess, in terms of how much strength this Draven can have here for Gorica. But have to get to a point where the lanes can become impactful first. It looks like I believe that Gorica and Rovex will have the upper hand, have at least the early push into this Aphelios Tom Kench, but right now we see both junglers already pathing down towards that bot lane. So it looks like we're going to see that become a really important area to for both of these teams.
Yeah, and Udyr, of course, king of the full clear, right? Very fast at getting through his jungle. Certainly going to be very capable at making plays happen through his own jungle camp more so than anything else, and potentially going for some invades as well. Need to make sure, of course, that the Udyr is kept track of and that he doesn't end up getting one of those cheeky bear slaps in 2 early doors. I see that the double range from Gorica and Rovex is being put to good use already. One of the few drawbacks that Tahm Kench has as a support, obviously, is that his level 1 dueling power versus 2 ranged champions not necessarily the greatest. You've got Tongue Lash, and then you've got that's about it for trading patterns.
Of course, becomes such an important, impactful figure later on in the game, where you're basically willing to take that sacrifice, so to speak. And right now, things are working good for Taco, both in the bot lane as well as in the mid lane, where 5Fire is already chunked down to below half HP. Again, seeing an early aggressive jungle invade coming out from City Witty, trying to take out Griffin at the Krug camp. Will have the smite take it away, and now the ghost has been popped by Griffin. Prio is in the mid lane for the side of Taco Gaming, which means nobody's here to respond. But City Witty is not able to land the final auto attack. Griffin gets first blood.
Ghost just does work, apparently. Able to outmaneuver on those auto attacks. Now can Griffin get his red buff and get out? It looks like the answer's going to be no. And this may well just be a red buff going to Gorica, which is going to make that bot lane even more difficult for the no-org duo. Down in that bot lane, but here's that 1v1 once again. Look at the damage totals, right? Griffin, 50% HP when he goes for this fight. City Witty full HP. Apparently that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Absolute Phoenix stance burst. And then this is just auto attack speed difference.
It seems like Griffin is actually rather proficient on the Udyr. I take back what I was saying about maybe not being...
Wait, he's not trolling in competitive games? No.
Yeah, I mean, he looks very good, and looks like the early dueling potential certainly very strong as well. Backing for a very early swiftness boost just to increase the time and the ability for him to run around the jungle and clear away as many of those camps as he possibly can, and trying to get that econ advantage over City Witty a little bit differently than we saw in game number 1. Yeah.
He needs to go bot lane. The only way that he doesn't get kills bot lane is, well, there's a few ways, honestly. There's Flash and Cleanse available for Gorica, which is going to be the first time round, but then that second time round, if he gets slowed by Rovex, it's going to make his life a lot more difficult. So getting those swiftness boots is going to reduce the amount of slow capability that Rovex has got. And obviously getting those Swifty boots just pass you through your jungle a little bit easier, makes those ganks even better. We'll draw your attention to quite where Griffin is on the map right now, stealing away the enemy's Krug camp, making sure City Witty not going to be keeping his hands in that one, and getting more gold in.
A little 2v2 erupting here. Big getting really close to Shochi, but not enough to force any summoner spells or anything like that. It does show City Witty up in the mid lane, which will give even more time for Griffin to try to invade the top side quadrant of Taco Gaming's jungle. But overall, very even game state. Actually, Taco Gaming just still with a significant lead in gold. Sorry, very marginal lead in gold off the significant CS lead. But look at that, 5Fire nearly taking Shoshi down there in the 1v1.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well, they played the mirror of this matchup in game number 1, except it was flipped sides, and in that one, it was the Yone here that got the better of things. You have to suck it up a little bit in the early stages and try and bite the bullet of the harass, but after that, you can really start to put some damage down. And that's really what we're starting to see from 5Fire. It forces the flash from Shochi in that mid lane. You touched on the gold lead, Grapes, and I'm glad that our observers are down here, because this is the real reason why that gold lead is actually in Taco Gaming's favor.
Wixie, and they got the better hand of Gorica and Rovex in game number 1 in lane, but doesn't look like the same case this time around. The Draven definitely becoming super impactful as we see most fed member on the side of Taco Gaming based off of CS alone, and up about 800 gold on Wixie right now, and they're gonna get this dragon just funneling even more advantages and more damage into Gorica this early on.
Yeah, ultimately right, an early game Infernal Dragon doesn't tend to have too many boosts, but the later this game goes, that one single Infernal going to start to stack up a little bit more. It gives you a percentage of adaptive damage, so whilst you don't have too many items built up, that percentage doesn't tend to do too much, but when those items start to come through, the percentage has a much bigger impact. It's not too much impact through the early game, but for Taco Gaming, like we said, there's going to be a large focus around that bot lane, and you can already see that with Gorica opting into that lethality serrated Dirk item, it's going to once again give me concerns about if this game doesn't start to get snowballed by Taco, how well they'll be able to extend their leads and how well they'll be able to close out a game up against an Udyr, up against a Tahm Kench, who are going to be building armor, who are going to be very difficult to kill for a Draven, and if you go for this lethality build path, it's going to be much harder for you to get through than a traditional crit build of an ADC would.
Yep, it's going to be more than Gorica to try and get Taco Gaming this 2-0 lead. But see Qualifier going for an aggressive play in onto Shochi with the Fate Seal. Big going to have that ulti dodged away from. And now Citywitty has arrived as well. And Big T forced to flash away. But now Qualifier still doing the damage. In comes Griffin. Double stun coming out from Rovex is not enough. Qualifier escaping. And that's a 2 for 0 as Viper swoops in for the second kill.
Yeah, Rovex on level 5 Zillion, not nearly as impactful as he would have been had he been that level 6 mark. Ultimately, just 2 kills going over to Noorg here, completely turning the tides of what we saw in game number 1. A really good little play in this mid lane, and it is all set up off of that fire engage. Big T, you think he's going to fall right here, but a well-timed exhaust actually keeps him alive for just long enough to flash out to safety, and then, of course, Little Tempo stacked up on a Yone. Q's coming out the wazoo, really not fearful for his life at all, manages to flash away as well. Good collapse from Viper, from Griffin, Ghost popped and ulti popped respectively, making sure that their mid support combo survive and able to move on to the next fight. Oh no, Gorica can't die here.
Yeah, gonna try to get even more advantages. Doesn't actually pop the flash, doesn't need to as the knockup just dodges wide. Now Gorica will flash away from that tongue lash. Did look pretty good for Noorg, but they do get a couple of summoner spells out. But wow, actually it was 2 burned by Wixie as well. So maybe not the best trade considered, but you can see the effort that Noorg is having to try and continue to push the pace, get this advantage into even a higher state.
Ooh, okay, mid lane as well. Qualifier definitely in trouble.
Gets slowed up here.
Over the
Double
wall,
bomb
though, so.
just missing out here. So Qualifier will be able to get away here, but the Rift Herald has to be kited away by Griffin.
Yeah, I want to touch quickly back on that bot lane and those summoner spell trades. I think that it's going to be important, and I think that's better. Qualifier hasn't got ult, so we can continue with this line of reasoning. Given the fact that the jungle currently is in favour of Noorg, Big T should be fine.
Oh, here comes Shochi. Gonna come in with the claw, locking down Big T. That's the Heartbreaker. Gonna get dodged away from, but Citywitty gets his first reset of the fight.
Oh, no.
Transforming into the Tom Catch and being forced to get away, but Qualifier here with the Fate sealed. Citywitty will get resurrected by the Chrono Shift from Rovex. Will it be enough to turn the fight back into Taco Gaming's favor? Maybe not. There comes the kills. The Udyr is so tanky on the front line, and that is 2 more kills onto the Noorg side, now 5-1.
I love this movement from Noorg, putting Wixie in the mid lane. He knows he can't fight Draven in the bot side, but he doesn't need to. He can generate advantages through the mid lane and taking fights there. There was nothing that the Taco Gaming ADC could do about it. Whirling Death came down and did nothing, but now he's going to lose all these stacks.
Gonna come in for the stun as well. Griffin just all over the map, all of the lanes that he possibly can be in. Not gonna get the final kill onto Gorica, but Big Wave's gonna get pushed in. Qualifier looking for it, doesn't have the ulti, so not enough gap close there.
Okay, I'm so scared for Gorica, right? His whole game has been building up to effectively one fight. If he dies before he gets a kill, doomzo. If he gets a kill before he dies, beautiful. There's a world where Taco Gaming can try and take this game. Duskblade completed for extra added damage now. This is really starting to give me a little bit of anxiety. We need to see if this kill goes which way or the other.
Just waiting on it. I mean, Gorica has done his job so far, getting the 20 CS lead. Just has the first completed mythic item of the game. Just not at that just yet, but that can be where the turning point for Taco Gaming is, because right now Noorg are on top of things. Griffin with a very, very solid Udyr game right now, Rudin, making sure that he's all across the map, getting so many kills and making sure his lanes are in much better position than they were in game number 1.
Griffin needs to base. He's been sat on these Swifty boots since like minute 2. Those Ruby Crystals as well, I can't imagine came through too much later. Is this just going to be a full turbo chem tank being completed? No, he's working towards Sunfire Aegis, which does have a little bit more of a gold expense, but it's going to make him much more damage oriented as well than he maybe would have been necessarily engage focused. There are plenty of engage for the team, to be fair, so it's not necessarily the most necessary item for him to go for, that turbo chem tank itself. Can understand the rationale behind going to something else. City really starting up this Drake, potentially a little bit aggressive, and this could be where we see the all-important Draven cash in or cash out. Instead, I'm entirely wrong. Taco Gaming is going to get this for free, so never mind.
You know, if you can get it for free, you're gonna take it for free. It's another Mountain Soul, Mountain Drake opened up here for the likes of Taco Gaming. Gonna get a little bit more durable.
These are gonna
as
hurt.
they go throughout the game. But look at the axes. That's the whirling
Yeah.
death. That's the execute. I think that was 746 gold into the hands of Gorka. He's been farming up a storm. Now we take a look at the mid lane though. Qualifier with the fate sealed in onto City Witty. Gonna get locked in by the Glacial Tomb, not necessarily under the tower, and he will be able to flash away from the Heartbreakers, keeping himself alive for now. Chicken will not be enough to take him down. So nice trade there by Taco Gaming. They get the big gold chunk into the likes of Gorica. And with this tower being taken down, Taco Gaming now securing the gold lead for themselves.
Dopamine, serotonin, all of the above. Oh, they've been hit. Now Shochi actually gets out as well. Finds the solo kill in the mid lane off the back of Qualifier, overextending, staying one wave too long out on the map. Should have got back to base off of being so low. And a bit of a turning point now. Taco Gaming, we saw this in their last game where they were down a little bit at that Rift Herald fight, but managed to get just winning in all lanes randomly and then turning the game back around. They don't scale nearly as well this time round. That Draven, of course, a little bit worried about how it's going to be performing later on, but did get that cash in. All importantly, the cash in comes through, and Gorica got a lot of gold from the plates alone. Has moved up to this top side. He's completed the bot lane turret, which, you know, he got 330 gold for finishing it off. He got 748 for the total takedown, so it's plus 1k on the kill as a whole. This is just that replay of what happened in the mid lane. Shochi just getting the kill down before the exhaust was able to come out. Beautiful stuff, and able to get out to safety in the 2v1.
I mean, yeah, I kind of just... Wow, okay, that happened. Never mind. We're going to keep going here. Viper going for another engage here onto City Witty, and Rovex going to land the E, going to jump straight forward. Has the exhaust on top of him, but with it timed out, will go for the second proc with the perfect execution. City Witty and Rovex still tanking up pretty low, but Gorica will have that chrono shift
Shochi's
pop.
here.
In comes Shochi. Big chunks of damage, big crowd control, and City Witty remains alive for now. Nice double bomb coming out from the Zillion, but it's not enough. Wixie has arrived, and Wixie has the damage, he has the juice, and he has himself not the triple kill because Griffin takes it away, but it is still a big team fight win for No Org.
Yeah, he tends to fight back around there. I think that Shochi is going to be the big difference maker, but ultimately Wixie coming through just in time manages to save the fight for No Org. Gorica's flash, unfortunately, straight on top of the No Org ADC, who's full HP, full utility to just mow him down in their face, and a big fight goes the way of No Org. It's not the most important fight. It's not that early game fight around the Draven prior to getting his stacks cashed in. It's also not one around any objective. It's just kills going over to Taka, or to No Org, excuse me, and a couple of cooldowns expended. The no flash on the Draven could very well be punished. Similar situation for Rovex 2. The bot lane of Taco Gaming now much more susceptible to being taken down, and with Griffin, we know that the engages are never going to be too difficult. Udyr simply presses E and runs at you to try and get those engagements. No Org right the ship. They were a little bit teetering there after the last sequence of events, but they do manage to turn it right back up.
Yeah, gold right back in their favor by about 1,000. Of course, Taco Gaming still in a pretty good position with Gorica continuing to farm up a storm. I don't know exactly what second item he's looking for right now. There's lethality.
It's one of those. It's one of those garage sales. This isn't built into anything.
Okay, so we'll figure out what the itemization is.
I think it's Collector,
later.
just with a Vamp Scepter vibing.
I was thinking like, oh, it's Eclipse, but there's already Dust Eclipse,
exactly.
so it doesn't work.
Exactly. The items do build into Eclipse, right? You're not wrong there. It's just he already has it, so it's just. I imagine Collector with the cheeky pit stop at Lifesteal just to make sure that he's a little bit more safer out on the map.
Makes a lot of sense.
Shochi goes.
Shochi's going to try to go in here. Griffin is going to get locked up here by the Glacial Tomb, and City Witty going to collapse on top of him as well. The Udyr is tanky, but not tanky enough. City Witty gets a 600 gold shutdown.
Okay, that is huge then for Taco Gaming, taking out the Udyr, and pretty much one of the best times as well. Drake spawning in 40 seconds means that Griffin's going to have to sprint down to that bot side if they want to try and contest it, and with Wixie up in this top lane, that means that Soul Point very likely to go over to them. Shochi putting this claw out, you think, oh, this could be a fight for us to take in the 2v1, but all of a sudden, 3 people come out from the woodworks of the Taco Gaming jungle, and Griffin is in over his head. Kill goes over to City Witty here. Heartbreaker just on the very edge of the range, but is able to find the kill, and I was actually a little bit wrong about the Hex Tech. Drake, reminder that it is Hex Tech Soul, and you do have gates to get out onto the map a little bit faster, so there could very well be a contest in a 5v5.
We saw in the picture-in-picture right there that Big did burn the Devour in onto Qualifier to keep his mid laner alive for this dragon fight. So no crucial bailout available here for No Org, as they're going to want to get this dragon. I don't think they've gotten a Drake so far yet in this series. I'm going to try to fix that right now, as they definitely don't want to be giving up another 3-0 lead. Viper being really obnoxious up into the jungle of Taco Gaming, making sure that his team has priority around the pit.
And we've not really seen anything from Lawrence. This is going to be his time to shine. Playing that team fight tank in the top lane has to be that front line for the squad.
Yep, we'll see if he can end up doing so. Dragon started up here by No Org. Shochi and Rovex looking for maybe a turn, but it will just be that Drake secured. Big Moonlight Vigil and big damage coming out from No Org as Viper dives straight into the back line to assassinate City Witty. Rovex falls as well. It will be the trade back though, but Gorica goes down to the hands of Big, and it is just all No Org in this fight. It is a double kill in for Griffin, and it is an ace for the likes of No Org.
And they just steamroll their way through. Taco Gaming. It never even looks close. Viper's the only one that falls because he takes the brunt of Gorica's aggression. But then the rest of the team comes through, they help out, and despite Wixie getting a little bit ruined through the early stages in the laning phase, he's moved around the map enough to generate enough gold to be impactful in these team fights. Qualifier from one side, Viper comes in on the other as well. City Witty falls, the Resurrect comes through onto the front line for Taco Gaming, means that Gorica has nothing left to be said, and the rest of No Org just, like I say, steamroll through the TG side.
This is what we've been known. This is what No Org has been known to do. You know, generate some leads within the lanes and then just really show up in some of the 5v5s around these major objectives. A lot of it, of course, behind Viper on the Akali. See Wixie with that massive Moonlight Vigil at the start of the fight, but Viper assassinating City Witty to make sure that no resets could be had by the likes of Taco Gaming. Really impressive stuff. Again, coming out from such an experienced player.
Now for Taco Gaming, we get to test their experience as to how well can they try and come back. Okay, that's a lot of movement speed. And all for one good auto. You are relying very heavily on hitting that 20% crit chance right now for Gorica if you want to be doing some mega chunk of damage. Guardian procced from Big T, but of course, like I say, Gorica needs to try and pilot his team to success. We said that they were going to be piling a large amount of damage into this Draven, and with City Witty unfortunately not having the best of times, that is going to be the case here.
Oh, Qualifier with a massive two-man ulti. Rovex uses the ulti in on the Gorica, but that's not going to save his own life. And in come the teleports, and in comes No Org. The rest of the cavalry coming in to collapse in onto Taco Gaming. Viper and Griffin leading the charge as a double knockup comes through for Big. A clean 5-for-0 ace. Qualifier with a triple kill right back where he belongs at the heart of Amateur. And that is No Org with a commanding lead in game number 2.
Setting up the fight and knocking it down as well. Qualifier has returned and is back, ready to party. Game number 3 on the horizon here. Really, this game has just snowballed out of control. Griffin tanking turrets, trying to take them down with the Rift Herald as well. Going to be successful in taking 2 tier 2 turrets off the back of that fight, and Baron is not even spawned yet. That Drake Soul seems like a far off, distant dream.
See if Griffin can escape here. The teleport came in for Shochi to try and find some sort of catch, but wasn't able to do so. Griffin, I believe, just is too tanky, even if
just
Shochi was able to lock him down there. Yeah, he already has 2 completed items, the Frozen Heart, to slow down some of the attack speed as well. And this is kind of the problem that you were alluding to when we were talking about the draft here, Rude, is that, you know, Gorica is the most fed member on this team, but the front line is just too tanky, as we see right here.
We'll have to see if they can get through Griffin this time round. Has 2 completed items. That Frozen Heart is doing so much work. He's just charging at people. No holds barred. Just quite happy to roll his way through. Has got Big T there as well for a little bit of extra support. And if you're spending too long going through that front line...
Oh, Qualifier coming at it again. City Witty going to get locked up. Does have that Chrono Shift, but not in a good position to potentially try and survive here. Shochi and the rest of Taco Gaming looking for a turn, but in comes Viper with the perfect execution. Won't be able to be targeted with the Shroud. And this is Wixie, this is Viper, this is No Org taking over game number 2. Gorica surely to go down. The stopwatch in for Viper to keep himself alive. Shochi not able to get the kill. Will he take the shuriken back? No. Okay, Viper not going for the super crazy outplay, but instead just taking the victory where it is. It's a 3-for-1 as only Griffin falls.
Yep, really good fighting. Once again, I mean, No Org just too far ahead at this point. Yes, they managed to take down the Udyr, but that takes them everything they've got, essentially. And once that's been expended, it's very difficult for Taco Gaming to get through anybody else. The damage coming through from Wixie at this point is very, very scary. He's got that Lord Dominic's Regard completed, so cutting through Lawrence really isn't too much of an issue, and you can see the difference that these top players are having in these team fights certainly replicate, or certainly shown off in those scores. 13 KP for Viper versus the couple of assists that Lawrence has got in these team fights. Really nothing to compare these two, as unfortunately the Akali presence in these team fights has just been more.
Oh, and here comes Taco Gaming. They're going to look for some kind of pick around this dragon. Fire using the Fate Sealed and is still alive somehow. Will finally go down to likes of City Witty, but big chunks of damage onto all the members of Taco Gaming. Now, can Noorg win this 4v5? Heartbreaker in. Viper is on a rampage now, still trapped underneath the Shroud. Rovex does not have any sort of chance to try and survive. Uses the Resurrect again on to City Witty, but it's a double kill in for Wixie. Make it a triple kill in for Wixie, and another teamfight win for Noorg. It seems just all too certain at this point in the game.
Yeah, and like it's one of those games again where they were asking for Baron to spawn maybe 3-4 minutes prior to it actually being allowed, and they're now going to be able to turn their attentions up to that big purple worm. 3-manning that one shouldn't be too difficult with Wixie there, strong enough to take down that Baron buff. And worst case scenario is they can just call Griffin up to come and finish off the job. He gets the Drake, secures that one for Noorg. Second Drake of the game going there. Wave mounting themselves toward a late game win condition should this game not be over within the next 10 minutes or so. But I imagine that will be the case. We should be going to game number 3, and Noorg going to be putting themselves out with a bit of a vengeance here. They were on fire after game number 1. A little bit of a heartbreaker if they'd have lost that one. But Griffin, he's ready. He knows.
He's got the smite. He's young. He's got that quick reaction time still in his bones here. 6-2 and 14 on the Udyr. Everybody on Noorg actually has really impressive kill participation. You know, we see the bot lane really stepping up. Wixie and Big having a great game after, you know, maybe falling a bit behind to the likes of Gorka's Ashe in game number 1. 8-1 on Wixie, picking up that triple kill in the last fight. Big with some really crucial knockups and you know, secondary follow-up engages to keep Noorg in a really good spot. And now with this Baron buff, we're gonna look to try and, as you said, Rude, put the final nail into the coffin. Gonna start with these outer structures. The last one down bottom still available.
Okay, and Lawrence is probably just going to be sacrificed here. Griffin does not care for damage, for anything. Can just tank up everything.
9-1 and 11 now on to Wixie. Legendary on the Aphelios. Now 4v5 is opened up for Noorg as they're going to start cracking open the base of Taco Gaming like their opposition so doodly did to them last time around. Here comes Griffin in with this movement speed. Going to land the stun in on Shoshi, who's not able to take the claw out to safety. Forced to use the ulti onto himself. And now Gorka is still just getting bursted down. Griffin is in the middle of 4 members of Taco Gaming and still refuses to die. First inhibitor down bottom lane has fallen. Might see some more to come, but right now Noorg is able to do whatever they want here in the base of TG.
Yeah, look at Wixie. He just steps up and takes the Nexus turret. There's nobody there. There's
he's
nobody
still,
stopping him.
He's just frontlining. There goes Gorka immediately leaded in the fight. City Witty trying to get some sort of trade back. Has a lot of healing with the Divine Thunder, but not enough damage to take down the Udyr. In comes the Devour onto Lawrence just for good measure. He'll be resurrected, but likely will fall just after that. Wixie's still alive. Wixie is still kiting, and with the final kills coming through, that's another one onto Fire. Noorg evening up the series with a very dominant game too, as we're going the distance in both days on the Academy stream, Rude.
Oh yes, and you know, after game number 1 I was thinking, oh yeah, rose tinted glasses, they're looking pretty good right now, but this is exactly what we expected from this Noorg side. 25 minutes 22-23 seconds it is. As crystal clear a game as you may have liked. 14,500 gold lead in their favor. 30 something to 8 kills. It was not even close. And both of these games thus far have been fairly one-sided. Game number 3 promises to deliver, that is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this was the series a lot of people were expecting to go the distance. Of course, we saw 100 Thieves Next and Large have a, you know, very exciting series as well. And so really fun way to start off the Proving Ground Circuit qualifier here in the first day of the group stages. And I think this is what we were expecting when we saw the Noorg roster be announced at the start of the split. You know, this is the team that, you know, dominated throughout last year and is looking really, really strong as well, especially here in game number 2.
yeah, excited to see what they can try and boast in game number 3. Completely changed up their draft style, completely changed up what they wanted to go for. Even though they stayed on that blue side, it was one small adaptation taking away the Karthus and then a complete remodel of their draft. And we'll have to see what they do for game number 3. Who gets which side, etc. could be very important.
I don't know. Norg, I think, took blue side 2 games in a row there, so I wonder if Taco Gaming wants to switch things up. Gonna take a short break. When we return, I'll be talking to Veteran and Incon about how they think that game went down. We'll see you in a bit.